Hey Browns fans, welcome to Browns All Access. Nathan Zegura alongside Bernie Kosar. And Bernie, the Greg Williams era began against the Chiefs on Sunday. The Browns, competitive, didn't get the win, but what did you think of the first showing under the new head coach?
I think I'm a little bit conflicted. For part of me, from the fan perspective, from the Browns backer perspective, from the viewer perspective right now, I think it was a positive thing. The ability to come out, use the word competitive, to be competitive, to challenge one of the top teams in the league. There's no doubt we did that. Where I'm conflicted is from the player standpoint, from the team standpoint, from the coaching standpoint. Oh, yeah, yes, we are competitive, but I do think in the pros, it's so imperative that you don't take consolation in just doing good, in just being competitive. I think it's so dangerous if you start feeling good about yourself when you just were good, or you just were competitive, or you almost won.
Right, and I think you go against the Chiefs. This is one of the most elite teams in the NFL, the highest scoring offense, as they put 37 on the Browns, but had come into the game averaging 36.2 points per game. Now, speaking of offense, I thought at times, Bernie, to me anyway, the most important thing over the second half of the season is Baker Mayfield and his development, and I thought Freddie Kitchens, calling the plays for the first time, did a great job of making Baker comfortable and productive.
Well, from that standpoint, from being comfortable and the productivity standpoint, getting in the end zone 3 times, it definitely was a positive sign. Freddie Kitchens, for his first regular season game, calling plays and his utilization of the running backs and his understanding of the Kansas City defense and the vulnerabilities of the defenses, we took good advantage of that.
Absolutely. You mentioned Freddie Kitchens and the running backs. Was the running backs coach before becoming the play caller. Really went to them a lot. 33 combined touches, 176 total yards, all 3 touchdowns scored by the running backs. And I know our fans were happy to see Duke Johnson have his best game and highest utilization this year.
Absolutely nice to see the incorporation of the multiple running backs of Chubb and Duke Johnson. I do think that it's natural to say, because Freddie Kitchens was coming over from the running backs, that because he's the running back coach, he would hook up his guys being the running backs and utilize them within the scheme of the game plan, which he did. That being said, I think also is somewhat of a part of necessity. The younger receivers have been having their drops, as we've talked about throughout the year. The consistency of getting separation really hasn't been there. So our running backs have been some of our most productive players, and we saw that this past Sunday.
We certainly did. Duke Johnson, 9 catches, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Nick Chubb played a big role as well, rushing for over 80 yards and another touchdown on the ground. Let's take a look at one of his big runs with offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens in our play breakdown. Here with Browns offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens. And Freddie, we're going to take a look now at one of the many successful runs you had against the Kansas City Chiefs. What were you hoping to get here in this look, and talk to us about this play?
Well, we're just treating it as a sub defense and a good sub run, and trying to get it without any safety force or on the backside. So this is just basically inside zone with the backside cutoff. And Seth does a good job here of cutting off the backside. These guys do a good job of running and pinning them. And Nick, of course, reads it right and hits it up in the egg out.
When you design a play like this where you're asking your tight end to come across the formation and get that weak side, what are kind of the pitfalls to that, and what are the advantages to doing it?
Well, the pitfalls of it would be if they didn't carry the crosser coming across to kick out the backside, which they didn't carry him here, but they are dropping into the weak side to carry in case we released him to the flat. So one way or the other, you want to end up with the guy that you can't block on the weak side when you're running the ball strong.
When you have a guy who blends power and speed like Nick Chubb, how does that help you as a play caller?
You can't put a price on that from the simple fact of you don't have to be perfect with your play call. These guys up front don't have to be perfect, although they did very well in this last game, those guys up front, in the run game and the pass game. I mean, the 2 sacks we gave up were mental errors. Those guys performed very well up front, and Nick would be the first to tell you that.
You see there, good job blocking it up. Seth the Valve coming across formation, but Nick Chubb, that blend of speed and power certainly makes him look like a rookie to watch in 2018.
Well, Nathan, a good point with the speed and power. If I could add patience to that too. We saw in his touchdown run, and then we saw in that 17-yard run just the past scene there, his patience in the hole. They do a nice job of getting into the pressure and getting into but keeping his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. And then the first sign of daylight that he saw, he was able to cut it up in there and take it up to the second level, and then making guys miss like that to get it into that 15 to 20 yard range.
Absolutely, and I think when you look at the Browns' backfield, I think it's the best collection of playmakers you have on this team. Freddie Kitchens was wise to utilize them because both of them have one unique skill. The first guy never gets them down. Sometimes for Chubb, he's going to run you over. Duke Johnson knows how to get around you, but a good start for Freddie Kitchens as the offensive coordinator and a very good start for our young running backs. And now we'll be back with more Browns All Access right after this. Still to come, Browns rookie running back Nick Chubb was mic'd up against the Chiefs, and Duke Johnson talks about playing in Freddie Kitchens' offense. Welcome back to Browns All Access. Nathan Zegura alongside Bernie Kosar. And Bernie, for a quarterback, you know there's no better friend than a great running game. What are your impressions of what Nick Chubb's been able to do since becoming the Browns' starting running back?
Well, it's nice to see, as we saw in the last segment, that 17-yard run that we showed on video, but also the 3-yard touchdown run, the patience that he's showing to get himself under control, understanding where the line is blocking and what his reads are to be able to hit the hole, make the next guy miss, and get those yards after contact, the yak.
Yeah, the yak, and he's been good at that. 2 games over 80 yards as the starter with a touchdown in both of those. And Nick Chubb, since becoming the Browns starter, has handled 85% of the team's carries. That's the highest share for any running back in the National Football League. Now, we know he likes burgers. Find out more about Nick Chubb in our Player Spotlight, brought to you by Fifth Third Bank.
Good afternoon, everybody, and it's good to be back home. What a week it has been in Browns land. Today, it's the Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, it was a crazy week, definitely. Just a lot going on, a lot of outside talk, a lot of stuff going on inside, internally. And I never been through it before, firing through the season, like in the middle of the season, so it's different for me. And my running back coach is not an OC, so I mean, that's good to be a running back because he loves to run the ball, obviously. And I thought he called a great game for us last week. And my new running back coach, I'm still getting to know him, but you know, from what I know, he's a great guy. He's very smart, and he's helping us out a lot. I think we're in good shape. I know Greg has done a great job stepping in as a head coach, just getting the guys to buy in and keep playing for each other.
Game's not that hard. Just play, okay? Just play. Play the way you have your whole life, okay? Protect it, and play.
Yes, sir.
Baker, focus, we're in. Here we go. Baker, focus, we're in. Focus. Everything that's happened this week, we need everybody. Everybody on the sideline, everybody's playing. Do your job, man. Family on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam.
We caught a moment. You were telling Coach Wiley that you stand the whole game. He's like, no, you sit.
Giving you space, sat right up against you. So
Yeah.
like, talk about that moment in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I always stand, like you're saying, in the game. I stand, watch the game, and I was over there like just to check in on the team, see what guys are up to, and he like made me sit down. He's like, you need to sit.
Hey, sit down.
No,
You gotta play, sit down.
I usually stand the entire game. And then he sat literally right beside me. I had no room whatsoever. And I was like more uncomfortable sitting down than standing up.
And you sat there for a while.
Yeah, man, I had to. He made me.
That's awesome.
We gotta be great down here.
Running back is Chubb. Mayfield under center. Wants the crowd to quiet. Underneath center, first and goal, takes the snap. Gives it left side. Chubb dancing, cutting, going in. Touchdown, Nick Chubb.
Let's go. Good drive, boy. Let's go. Good drive. Let's go, boy.
Definitely beginning of the year, I was starstruck a little bit. Just going back to the first game, I looked over there and I seen Big Ben and Antonio Brown. And then I was like, man, I'm in the NFL, this is real. I mean, now I get to see Matt Ryan, who I watched as in high school, and Julio Jones. So, I mean, it might be a little starstruck for a little bit, but, just gonna go out there and prepare as I always have. I'm starting today, just having a good day of practice and continuing on through the week. And just look forward to having a good game, and hopefully we can do a lot of things right and come out with a better outcome.
What's up? I'm Allie Raymond, and this is your Social Minute, where we show you the best of what's happening on social media this week. Starting with a tweet from a Browns fan and parent. At Breezy CLE says, "My 3-year-old son refuses to let me cut his toenails. I told him Baker Mayfield lets his mom cut his toenails, and it worked like a charm. I will now apply this to Baker eats his vegetables, Baker cleans his room, hashtag parenting victory." Next up, fans have been noticing Joe Thomas's post-retirement physique lately. "My wife always thought I looked like you. Now she wishes I looked like you. You're making me look bad." To which Joe responded, "I'm benefiting from being in the corner of the wide-angle camera." You can catch Joe Thomas at the desk on Browns Countdown before a Falcons game this Sunday. And lastly, this Sunday marks our Browns Salute to Service Week, where the team honors active military and veterans. This week, care packages were sent from the team's facility in Berea with a little help from some of the players. I'm Allie Raymond, and this was your Social Minute.
After the break, Duke Johnson sits down for a one-on-one interview with Andrew Gribble.
Getting more opportunities to make plays for the team. Just going out to make the best of them.
And offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens previews the matchup with the Atlanta Falcons.
It doesn't matter really, who you're playing. Everybody in the NFL can score.
Welcome back to Browns All Access. Nathan Zegura and the living legend, Bernie Kosar. Bernie, Duke Johnson is somebody the fans have been clamoring for more of. They finally got it on Sunday. 2 touchdowns, some big third down conversions. When you got a weapon like that, how important is it to get him the football?
No doubt it's important. We've been clamoring for it throughout the season. I'm biased a little bit from the U with Duke, but for him to be able to show that patience and I think confidence and a little bit of the veteran influence of, early in the year he was having success, but he wasn't getting the amount of carries and touches that I think he wanted, that he would liked. But he didn't complain. You didn't see him hanging his head. You didn't see him sulking. He was buying his time, being a good professional veteran influence in the locker room. And now you see this past game, he kept working, kept trying hard. He kept being the positive influence, studying. He gets his touches, he gets his opportunity, he takes advantage of it.
Absolutely. He produced, and we want to see more of that going forward. Duke Johnson, one of the best weapons on our football team. Also a known backpack aficionado, and he goes one-on-one with our Sir Andrew Gribble for our Browns All Access exclusive player interview.
Mayfield looking out in the right flat. Duke Johnson caught it at the 15, out of a tackle 10, out of the tackle 5. He's going in. Touchdown! The Duke has arrived.
I'm Andrew Gribble here with running back Duke Johnson. And Duke, a familiar outing for you last week against the Chiefs. You're really involved in the passing game. How did it feel to really kind of reestablish that niche in the offense?
I felt good. Actually getting more opportunities to make plays for the team. Just going out to make the best of them.
Yeah, and when you that first touchdown you made a couple guys miss and you got in the end zone. When you're getting the ball, what is the first thing you're thinking when you get that screen pass or you get a short dump off pass right there?
It's finding the nearest defender, the nearest unblocked defender. Make sure that I try my best to make them miss, because if you normally make the first guy miss, it's a big play.
When you take a step back, I know in the moment you guys were probably not satisfied with the result, but did you see some steps in the right direction, especially from the offensive side of the ball?
I mean, just going out after the week we had off the field and what happened within the organization, we knew Kansas City was a high-powered offense. And on our opposite side, we were just trying to, every possession make the best of it, score some kind of points, take a lot of time. I think we did that for the most part. I think we still left a lot of plays out on the field that, would have gave us a better chance to win the game. But just moving forward, we just have to continue to build on the things that we did last game.
He gives it off. Chubb is through to the 35. He's down to the 30. He's to the 29-yard line on a first down. What a hard run by Nick Chubb.
What have you thought of Nick so far as the season's going on?
He's strong. I think that's the biggest thing that I can see from Nick is he's strong, and it's hard to bring him down on first contact. So if it's a pile, he's going to push the pile, and he's going to move it to get positive yardage. First down, you get 3-4 yards. That's a good first down. So him just being able to do what he do at a high level, It's just, keep doing this thing.
I think we knew going into the season your guys' schedule was going to be one of the toughest in the NFL. It's kind of played out that way, maybe even gotten a little tougher. The Falcons come to First Energy Stadium this weekend. Just how much is that really testing you guys, where you guys are going up against the NFL's best teams right now?
That's what we need. I prefer to play the best. Regardless of what's going on with us, regardless of our situation, week in and week out, I want to play the best.
And when you guys have these games, you guys can go back to kind of that winning feeling you guys had early in the season. How close is this team to kind of getting back to where that was at the beginning of the year?
We're close, I believe. I think, like I said, last game, a couple of plays here and there. It's a different ball game, but we just move forward and try to focus on Atlanta now and just get down to what it takes to beat them.
Not only a good player, a great guy, great personality is Duke Johnson. And Bernie, we've seen a trend around the league. Look at the Saints, Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, that 1-2 punch. Do the Browns have the makings of a very good 1-2 punch with Chubb and Duke?
We absolutely do have the makings of a good 1-2 punch. And if I could add to that, kind of my history of believing that the most successful, consistent offenses have multiple backs and have that 1-2 punch, and we're definitely on our way towards that.
Absolutely, we certainly are, and it's exciting to see because I think it's a space game. It's a mismatch game. That's what the NFL's becoming, and with Chubb and Duke, you have two guys who can put you in very good situations on offense. We'll be back with more Browns All Access, including our game preview, next. This week's game marks the 15th time that the Browns and Falcons have squared off. What year did the two teams first meet? Was it A, 1952, B, 1966, C, 1972, or D, 1983? Find out next. This week's game marks the 15th time that the Browns and Falcons have squared off. In what year did the teams first meet? The correct answer is B, 1966. The first meeting resulted in a 49-17 win for the Browns. And since then, the Browns have walked away victorious in 11 of the 14 meetings all time. Welcome back to Browns All Access. Nathan Zegura and the quarterback himself, Bernie Kosar. Bernie, things get no easier for the Browns defense this week against the Falcons. We know they're banged up. We're not sure who's going to be available, but we know we will be without Christian Kirksey and E.J. Gaines, both placed on injured reserve earlier this week. How do they slow down this Falcons offense?
No doubt that's going to be an issue. Unfortunately, the Atlanta offense is very talented, very fast, a lot of weapons. Not exactly the week you want to have so many injuries on the back end of our Cleveland Browns defense.
Absolutely not. We saw the Falcons put up 38 last week against the Redskins. They've got Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Mohamed Sanu. It's an embarrassment of riches for quarterback Matt Ryan. Now the Browns may have to score to keep up with the Falcons, so we talked with Browns offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens about how he plans to do just that. Here we are with Browns offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens. What did you think of your first game calling the plays in the National Football League against the Chiefs?
I thought it was fine. There's several things that I'd like to have back. Would have changed and called differently, but I think that's always going to be the case. But the thing I would emphasize more than anything is our offensive staff and myself and the quarterbacks, the running backs, the offensive line, everybody has a hand in that and a part in that. And I'd need to know just information on what they like, what they dislike, what they want to run more of, because if they believe in it, it makes it a lot easier to call. And, last week was a tough week. And our offensive staff stayed together and we put together a decent plan and we were able to execute it. And I tell these guys, I've told these guys for a week now that, coaches coach and players play. And they went out and played and they executed for the most part throughout the day.
Baker mentioned in his post-game press conference that he felt like it was a more collaborative process this week, that you and he worked together, kind of like what you were just talking about. Right. Is that how you like to do it, work with your quarterback, kind of like you probably saw in Arizona with Carson Palmer?
Yeah, that's the way I was brought up in this business from the standpoint of even when I was playing. If I didn't like something, it wasn't getting called, and Todd did that too to a certain extent. It's just I wanted to have an ongoing dialogue with the quarterback on an everyday basis, and I wanted to get his feel for something. And it may just be something that we're working on to run a couple of weeks later, but I want to see his progression with that particular play or read or check or whatever it may be as the day goes on and as the weeks go on, and see when it's ready to go.
So your first game, Kansas City, high-flying offense. Now Atlanta, another high-flying offense. Does that impact how you view it, to the sense that you say, hey, we either have to try to keep them off the field, or we know we're going to have to kind of score in a track meet?
Well, I think, you know, in the game of football, it's kind of the ultimate team sport. So you have to, it's a team within a team on offense, but then you factor in defense and special teams. You've always got to be kind of in sync together. And I think we did a pretty good job of that last week, trying to make that happen. And this week's more the same, but it doesn't matter really, you know, who you're playing. Everybody in the NFL can score most of the time. And we just got to do that on a week in, week out basis. And of course, sometimes it's more important than others. And this is probably one of those weeks.
All right, we heard from Browns offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens, a former quarterback himself like you. And I have to ask you, from the quarterback's perspective, in a game where you're going against a team like the Falcons, great offense, not so great defense, do you think you need to try to get in a track meet with them and put a lot of points on the board, or do you want to run the ball, pound it, and keep that offense off the field?
I think given where we're set up right now and how our running backs with Duke and Chubb have been productive in running the ball and making plays out of the backfield, and our receivers have been struggling, I think you want to squeeze the ball a little bit, slow it down a little. We need to bend but not break, but try to make that Falcons offense make some mistakes.
Absolutely. We saw a drive in the second quarter where Freddie Kitchens called 7 runs of the first 8 plays, resulted in a touchdown for the Browns, and kept Mahomes and company on the sideline. So hopefully we can see more of that. Now, for the latest on the Browns, keep it tuned to clevelandbrowns.com, the Browns mobile app. Subscribe to all of our social channels, including youtube.com/Browns. And of course, for the latest on this man, check out his website, Kosar19. For Bernie, I'm Nathan Zegura saying thank you for watching Browns All Access, and let's go Browns.